What's good? We've now reached the Sorceress gear progression from absolute start to finish. Rags to riches, basically. Gonna do my best to explain each phase and progression so you have an idea of how to go about getting gear. And of course, big thanks to Spec for helping me out and craft the gear progression journey. He's the genius behind the general consensus of it all. If you have any particular questions regarding the progression, you can always ask us in the Kaiju Discord. Link to that Discord will be in the description below. Now, of course, we can't exactly start this journey just yet without talking about some core fundamentals when it comes to progression in the first place, that being AP brackets and DP brackets. So let's go ahead and take a look at the AP brackets and see what they look like. So to explain what AP brackets are, they are your representation of your sheet AP. Now, what exactly is sheet AP? Sheet AP is the visible AP you see in your inventory. You know how you view your gear and inventory, and it gives you your pre-awakening AP, your awakening AP, and your DP. Those three are the sheet AP and DP. So you check your AP and it says you are 261 AP with pre-awakening and 263 awakening. That means you are basically in the 261 AP bracket. Essentially, every one of these numbers that you see on here on this chart are basically crucial bracket points that give you extra AP at the bottom of the chart. And the reason why brackets are brackets is because each milestone in your AP journey gives you extra AP. So for example, if you are 269 AP, that bracket will give you 137 extra AP, or more or less hidden AP, because that won't literally add to your sheet AP. I mean, that'd be broken as fuck. And like, imagine you were 269 AP and the game just said like, all right, bro, here's 137 AP. And now you're just sitting at like 406 sheet AP. Like, the fuck? So no, it doesn't literally add to the bracket or a sheet. That would be way too unbalanced. Instead, that extra AP will be additional or hidden AP that will help give you a boost of damage when it comes to PvP and PvE. And last thing to note on the AP bracket is when it comes to PvE, there actually is one small point in your progression where you will prefer to keep your Nouver for both PvE and PvP. This is known as the notorious 261 bracket, and that lasted all the way up until 269. Turns out that even in PvE, Nouver has a weird growth spike where it actually does a bit more for you in PvE. Although I would enjoy it while it lasts, because the moment you reach 273 with Nouver, Kutum, pretty much becomes better once again. I even put a chart on the right hand side so you can actually see why. How you can calculate the total AP. You add the sheet AP, which typically is the bracket AP. Then add the extra AP that bracket gives you, which is in blue, of course. And in hot red, we have the bonus AP against monsters that Tech, Kutum, and Nouver give you. If you add all those up, you can see the Nouver starts to do more at 261, 265, and 269. But the moment you hit 273 Nouver, which is equal to 261 Kutum, 265 Kutum starts to do more. Some people could debate that 261 Nouver isn't really all that much stronger. You can even see the difference of the two is not a lot. So it's really up to you if you want to make that switch when you can. Otherwise, yes, factually Nouver would be better at those three brackets for PvE, and that's it. Universally, depending on your class or build, Sorcs typically prefer Nouver in PvP and Kutum in PvE. If you're a highly geared Sorc or decently geared Sorc with a nice DR evasion setup, they might actually prefer Kutum. Otherwise, you'll more than likely keep the Nouver for PvP so you can deal as much damage as possible and fill the role of an assassin. Then of course we have our DP bracket chart. This one is as simple and linear as it gets. I skipped the first three DP brackets since they don't necessarily matter that much until later, in my opinion. These brackets don't spike or jump or have a weird curve unlike the AP brackets. DP is pretty consistent and linear to the journey, just like the AP brackets. DP brackets give you a percentage DR for every bracket you reach. Pretty self-explanatory. Essentially understanding the common brackets for both AP and DP will help you to determine better judgment in your progression. And obviously most people don't want to remember each bracket, so having these charts for you guys will make things much easier. And before I start, this is of course the start to finish without seasonal characters. That progression plan is a different story, and this one will be without seasonal. So to start off your journey, your gear is going to look a bit like this. Grinnell armor for your helmet, armor, shoes, and gloves, then bear's amulet with Scythe of Seduction and Jubilee Talisman. You can decide between Rosar Talisman or the Jubilee Talisman. The Rosar for your offhand will give you a bit more DP, while the Jubilee will give you a bit more AP. So you can choose between more DP or AP to your own preference. I would probably recommend the Rosar to keep you safe if you're pretty new. Then the next step will be to get all of your gear to pry. Gonna be pretty simple. Getting all of this to pry will bump you up to a solid 80s or more AP to make life a bit easier where you're at. Honestly, getting these to pry can seem a bit redundant, considering if this was the next step, you'd probably think, why didn't I just buy these pry in the first place? Well, for some people that have no silver at all when starting out, you pretty much have to get step 1 down. but if somehow the game blesses you with a decent amount of silver, you can actually just skip to this part and buy these pry. Of course, you have to consider how much money you have to know at what progression point to spend on and start from there. The next step, you'll be making all your pieces of gear into ultimate versions, topped off with a very cheap and decent stone, the Spirit Destruction Stone. You can actually make your pieces of gear ultimate by buying or crafting the ultimate weapon reform stone or armor reform stone. Next up, you can acquire some very decent starter blue grade accessories for cheap. You can actually buy these from an NPC in Calfian City known as Grandis. It will actually be located closer to the right side of the storage keep next to one of the armory dudes. Then finally, you can go grind for your Asula accessory set. There are a few places that drop these at spots you should be able to grind. The Asula necklace can be farmed at an abandoned iron mine. Asula rings can be farmed at Wandering Rogue. Asula belt can be farmed at Elric's Shrine, and Asula earrings can be farmed at Helm's Post. They'll most of the time come in fragments. All you have to do is combine 3 of the fragments to make one whole base of that accessory. Next up, we have those try accessories that you'll have to enhance yourself after you've acquired them at base from doing 4 main quest lines, that being the Madaya, Valencia, Dragon, and Odalita quest lines. I'll actually put a link in the description that covers more in detail on how to acquire and get these boys. Next up, we finally upgrade your weapons all up to try. That's up to you whether or not you want to enhance them or buy them yourself, completely up to you, but getting these to try will greatly increase your gains. Next, we take care of our armors finally and get them all to try. Try ultimate granils are pretty decent and solid. You definitely don't want to make them tet, as the value and struggle is not worth it. Getting them up to here is just right before your next gain. Next gain is getting your ass to level 61. That's exactly right. Gear progression also includes your level progression as well, and getting to 61 is going to be a priority at some point. Since the game gives out plenty of XP scrolls, and by now you hopefully should have friends or guildies to help you out at Mirmok Ruins to get your level up. If not, I'm sure there are still other ways, guys, you can find to help you out on that. Not only that, but even getting to 60 also gives you some nice added stats as well. But getting to 61, the game gives you a free Capotia ring, something you can keep and use to help out your gains. So getting to level 61 means that basically your next gain is the Capotia ring that the game gives you in return. Then next, you can actually craft and make your own Capotia ring again. This will usually cost, depending on the market, will cost anywhere from 500 to 800 million silver. You basically spend that much on a soft cap ring that you can keep and pretty much just get yourself easy gains. There's plenty of guides out there to teach you how to craft and make your own Capotia shit, but all I can say is it's definitely worth your money and time. Considering it's a piece of gear you use on your other characters when you're done with it like a damn condom. Wait, pause. It's a nice hand-me-down for your other characters, and even if you think it's a waste of money because you can't sell it, think again. I personally will stand on this. Even if you can't sell it, getting back value by just using the item and getting you up brackets is already value back, considering you can use it on your other characters as well. Next up, we have our weapon upgrades. Now, if you are Succession, go for your Tri Kzarka, and you can honestly just keep your Seduction Scythe for now. You can upgrade that to a Dandy later on, but keep it at Tri. If you're Awakening, get your Tri Dandy first, then work on getting that Kzarka Tri later on. Then next, you'll finally upgrade that offhand to a Tri Kutum. Going to be the best thing to have for PvE grind. The next goal will be level 62. I think this will be great, and to be honest, the badge of honor in BDO. Some people don't even consider you a BDO player unless you actually have at least one character that's level 62. It's definitely going to be a hefty grind, but I promise you it's worth it. But I definitely recommend shooting for level 62 somewhere down your progression path and get yourself that free Capotia earring. The next, since it shouldn't cost you too much, crafting your own Capotia earring next to help get you those upgraded accessories for better AP. Then next, we can finally get rid of our gloves and upgrade them into Bheg's gloves. Going to be one of, if not the best gloves to have, especially for Sork. Then we have to upgrade our drip. Get yourself some nice shrubs 7s. No, deadass. If you actually don't have an outfit or costume, this Dimshi will make you look like you're fucking casted as one of the trees in The Wizard of Oz. Okay, memes aside, the Dimshi is going to be the best armor piece to have in the slot. Nothing too fancy, just getting them to try as replacements is all you need to do right now. Next, we get ourselves some Urugon 5s, try Urugons. Also, best piece of DR boss gear for your shoes currently. The other shit I'll cover later in the progression. Next thing to do before we even touch that helmet, since the helmet doesn't really give you much of a boost as the other upgrades, we can kind of put that on hold for now. We can now upgrade our weapons. Once again, if you are Succession, get that Tech Kzarka and leave the Tri Dandy or Tri Scythe Tet alone for now. If you're awakening, get that Tet Dandy and work on getting that Tet Kzarka later on. Then we go ahead and Tet our Kutum as well. Then we can finally get our Griffons helmet, and with that we finally have our full boss gear set with armor and weapons, which means now if you want you can go ahead and acquire your first set of basic crystals in each slot. For your Kzarka you can get the BMC precision crystals. These you'll have to buy early on and put them on a pre-order since they are the most sought out crystals in the market. Hopefully your order comes through and you can have these. Then for Kutum, critical hit crystals, BMC Valor in your Bhegs, BMC Adamantine for the Urugons, BMC Kobe's for the Dim Tree, and finally BMC Memory for your helmet. These are what I recommend for basic starter crystals. You're free to change or test with whatever crystals you like in your helmet, shoes, and armor, but the other three I would recommend to keep since they are very good and a staple for basic crystals. Then next up, you can upgrade your belt into a Basi belt. Wouldn't be too hard to enhance yourself, otherwise you can save up and buy this yourself. Then afterwards you can shoot for a Ogre. Then the next big step is to do your journals. At this point in the game, it's going to be very important you sit down one day and decide to get all of these essential journals down. That being finishing all of Brutali's first, or at least till you get all the necessary AP. Then finish all of Deeves, then all of Dorn Morgrams, then all of Heralds. These journals give you free AP, DP, and other stats that boost you up significantly or seemingly free of charge. So most of it's going to be a time hassle, but I promise you it's worth, and some of you have to do eventually. And at this point, it's going to be very important. You can find plenty of guides on YouTube that will guide you through each book. Then after you finish all the journals, then you can upgrade your Bhegs to Tet, then upgrading your Dim Tree to Tet, then upgrading your Urugons at Tet, then of course your Griffons to Tet. Basically completing the Tet armor and weapons and tri-boss accessory setup. This would be your basic or old soft cap setup. Even though the soft cap gear curve changes with time, this point in time is a pretty solid gear milestone to be at in my opinion. Then it'd be time to get your accessories to Tet, starting with your Basi belt to Tet. And now that you have the proper AP, you can actually make the switch to Tet Nouver. That will then put you at the notorious 261 Nouver. Once again, it's up to you if you feel like the change or difference is that big of a deal. If not, you can honestly just keep the Kutum until you hit 265 Nouver. Otherwise, you can just make the switch now. After that, you can then go for your Tet Crescent ring. And by ring, I mean rings plural, because you'll basically go for both Tet Crescent rings for the upgrades. Then next, you can go for a Vells heart finally. Unless you are blessed with the RNG of 6 God, you basically have to save up money for this one. It's definitely a mandatory thing to have at a certain point in your progression, so now would be a solid time to have one of those. Then after that will be your Tet Ogre. At this point you can swap back to Kutum, since now Kutum would be better than Nouver in PvE, but you can definitely keep the Nouver if you would still like to use it in PvP. Next you can Kafres your Kzarka with 2 levels to even out your AP. Shouldn't cost too much for you. If your Succession, it's free AP. Next you can go ahead and get yourself a Tet Blackstar for your main hand. If your Succession, this is definitely the path. Now, if you're Awakening, it probably makes more sense to grab a Blackstar Awakening weapon and just keeping the Kzarka main hand, unless you actually want to go out of your way to get both. But otherwise, depending on what you play, just pick one or the other. So next part, you have 2 paths you can take. You can go absolute damage or moderate damage while keeping your DP. That means you can decide if you want to buy or enhance 2 distortion earrings at this point and get massive amount of AP, or you can go the safer, less expensive route and get Tungrad earrings. Now, you actually don't have to get your second Tungrad earring. Since those 2 extra AP won't jump your bracket, you would already have made the 273 bracket. If you got 2 Tungrad earrings, you would just be 1 AP off from the 277 bracket. So it's your call if you want to invest in them for just a bit more damage or just to have to sell later. That's up to you. But at minimum, you just need 1 Tet Tungrad earring. So if you're like me and you don't care about the DP loss, go ahead and, go for the full damage distortions. And if not, go the cheaper route with 1 Tet Tungrad earring. And after that point, you can now decide to get your best in slot crystals. Now, there are a lot of crystal builds out there, and I'll save the topic for another video. For now, I'll just show you what I have on at the moment. We have Elcar crystals in the main hand, with Corrupted Magic crystals in the offhand, Jin Vipers in the gloves. Those 3 are essentially going to be universally the best in slot regardless, so if you can definitely get those 3, then you're in a good place. And for the build I'm running is the stamina build, so it's going to be Jin Hystria in the shoes for stamina, and Maclaws for both, helmet and armor for extra stamina on top of that. Next, you can Kafres your helmet, shoes, and gloves up to Kafres level 3. This will bring you up to at least 315 DP bracket. If you have Distos, that'll be a different story. Next, you will finally strive for your first pen armor. pen Dimtree armor. Once again, whether you want to enhance or buy it is completely up to you. Then you'll want to inject your Dimtree with Caphras level 10, no homo. Getting your Dimtree to Caphras 10 will be top priority because next you'll be getting yourself the big Dead God armor, aka Dark Magician's t-shirt. It's the best in slot, and everyone knows that if you can pen your Dimtree or Red Nose into Caphras level 10, you're basically a god, as the armor piece suggests. Next up, you'll want to grow your Dead God level up to Duo, which is basically enhancing it twice successfully. I don't exactly have the name on top of my head, but getting Pride Dead God is actually not bad, and getting at least Duo is a solid, plausible journey. Once you've gotten yourself a Duo Dead God armor, you're essentially walking around with a damn near maxed out piece of armor technically. Of course, it can go higher, but you know. The next step is to make the great switch to the evasion meta, getting yourself a pen Muskin shoes and pen Ultimate Heaves helmet with at least Caphra 9 levels in it. You don't really have to grab Libras for more evasion since you'd much rather keep the Bhegs for accuracy. In fact, you'll actually want to pen the Bhegs as well. Then next step is to make that other Capotia earring you had, or second Tungrad earring, into a distortion earring. Since we can afford a DP loss at this point we are in, getting that nice AP would be a solid gain. Next thing you can do is get Caphra's level 3 in your gloves and shoes. Then at this point you can pretty much say fuck it and grab yourself yet another distortion earring to get as much AP as possible. The next thing you can do is get Caphra's level 11 on your Heaves and Caphra's level 4 on your Muskin and Bhegs. Then you're going to keep injecting your shoes and gloves with more Caphras into Caphra's level 6. Then at this point you can switch out for a Gucci belt and rings, aka Tungrad belt and Tungrad rings for extra AP. That will check out for a nice 285 AP with Kutum. Then after that you can work on getting Caphra's level 19 on your Heaves and Caphra's level 9 on your Bhegs and Muskins. Then at this point for both Awakening and Succession, you can actually make this switch back to Dandy or Kzarka at Pen with Caphra's level 5, as well as Pen Kutum. Then after that you can now decide to swap out your belt for the Tet Turos belt for more accuracy. After that you can increase your Kzarka or Dandy to Caphra's level 11. Once again, if you are Succession at this point in the Caphra's game, you should definitely get your Tri Dandy to Caphra's level 19 if you haven't done so yet. Alright, so if you want an optional offhand to have on the side for skirmishes or group fights, you can go ahead and get yourself a Pen Evasion offhand at Caphra's level 19. With this setup, you will still have decent AP for the most part, and you'll have a ridiculous amount of evasion to survive a good majority of shit. Another optional thing to have on the side would be a pen accuracy offhand with Caphra's 19. These are all going to be ultimates, by the way, because they're fucking green grade. This is always nice to have on the side if you're dealing with very evasion heavy targets or just very tanky people in general. If you find yourself struggling to kill or damage certain endgame players, this offhand is the juicer. Put that shit on and you'll skyrocket your accuracy anywhere from 500 to 550 accuracy. Well, at this point in gear. And if you wanted to clutch out just a bit more accuracy, you can always get a Tet Omnius ring to help that out. But with those options out the way, you can definitely get the Fiery Pen Nouver to get an insane amount of AP too. This Nouver has Grommat's Heart into it. You can find plenty of guides on how to get or buy one, as well as infusing it with your Nouver. You're more or less gonna have to probably buy one and go from there. But at this point, yeah, you're basically hard capped of hard capped. Only upgrades from here are basically fucking pens. So I guess if you were to continue grinding your gear, you could get your Pen Turos belt into Pen Distortion earrings. And to top it off, since at this point you can definitely grind there, Tet Debreka necklace, a piece of shit that can drop at Ash Forest, and at Tet it's actually 1 AP less than a Pen Ogre necklace. Then of course your Pen rings as well, basically all your fucking accessories. After that, nothing much more you can do besides I guess perhaps a Pen Debreka necklace. Afterwards I guess you could just strive for a Tri Dead God armor if you have the sanity to do so. Don't think you'd attempt to go further, but if you do, best of luck, homie. Otherwise, getting Tri Dead God is honestly good enough. Then after that, really nothing much else to do besides a Caphra's level 20 and everything for the fuck of it. I don't even know. At this point, you're just fucking Madara Uchiha to everyone. Like, you can literally go red and kill everyone and not give a fuck. But yeah, this would be your hypothetical endgame. So yeah, holy shit. That would be your start to finish gear progression for Sorceress. Rags to riches. Hopefully the gear progression helped you guys out and answer some questions or give you ideas of what to do next in your progression plan. I do recommend using videoplanner.com like I have. Make sure to click on create a character and you're good to go. Other than that, that's all I got. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and in fact, let me know where you guys are in this progression plan. What AP or gear score are you guys at? Maybe even timestamp the video and say that's more or less where I'm at. If you guys have any other questions, you can ask me in the Kaiju Discord. Links are of course in the description. Spec is one of my mods in there as well, and it can help answer some of the questions behind the genius as well. That And if you've actually made it this far into the video, you guys are the true homies. I appreciate every one of y'all, for real. Fuck, now that that is finally done, I'm gonna go ahead and catch you guys in the next video as always. Peace!